So we have a new CEO. Based on what we're seeing with the stock price, I don't think the market is too thrilled about it. He does have a lot of experience in the auto industry. He's been with Stellantis since 1999, so it's been a while. Like you said, the last stint he was at was in managing the North American business for a few months, and prior to that he was at Jeep. But it took a number of months for them to identify someone new. But I think the market's just pretty surprised that they went with somebody internal and not somebody external.
So what do we learn about that? Because so many of the problems that are hitting car makers are in some ways completely out of their control.
Yes.
In terms of trade, supply chains, sort of the war on EVs here in the US, right? So do we learn that like, hey, we don't think it's very fixable, so we're not going to worry about someone from the outside? Or is it like, look, the US is in turmoil, we need someone who knows that market? Like, what do we learn?
So there's, they do have issues that's not in their control, but there's a lot of issues that they are in control. So, quality is an issue. I think a lot of American buyers thinks Jeep has kind of fallen off in the quality side. And interestingly, the new CEO, Antonio, actually managed Jeep for about 2 years. So, I think, investor will take that as probably a negative. And then the other issues is morale. Over the past few years, sales have been weakening. They've been closing a lot of plants as a result. Dealers are not very happy with some pricing issues since COVID. So there's a lot of issues that, the new CEO will have to kind of address, and hopefully he can turn that around.
All right, so for the big three U.S. automakers in general, what is the consensus on tariffs and how much it will impact their business?
Well, interestingly, Trump has been giving a lot of reprieves and reliefs to various countries and regions and certain sector, but he hasn't really done much for the auto industry. There was some relief, a 2-year relief, but I think he's going full ahead with these auto tariffs, and a lot of companies still don't know how big the impact is. GM actually announced they're going to be a $4 to $5 billion impact this year.
Wow.
Toyota said, over between May and March and April, the impact was 1.3 to 1.5 billion. So given these numbers, it's going to be huge.
What about EVs? Is it possible that EVs in the US go the way that EVs went 100 years ago?
It could. It could.
That's not immaterial anymore.
I think, there's a number of issues that's facing the EV market. Infrastructure is a big one. It's just not as convenient as people would like it to be. The other thing is the cost. I still think that EV has a place in the marketplace. It's not going to be 50% market share by 2030. We think it's more like half of that, 20 to 25%. And then look, there is a risk to a lower number because of the tariffs and affordability. Some of these EVs are actually made in Mexico. So if you slap on tariffs, that makes it less affordable for consumers.